In this video, we will show you how to configure the settings for members' online statements. To access member statements, we must first be logged into the website. Once we're logged in as a member, we can go ahead and click on our name, and within the drop-down, choose the My Statements, or navigate to My Statement via Member Central. However, as an administrator, if we try and access a member's statements by clicking Statements, we will be notified that we don't have any statement data associated with our account. Instead, what you're going to do is within Member Central is navigate over to your roster or member directory and go ahead and search for your member. Then, in order to access that member's statements, you're going to go ahead and click on that little dollar icon beside their name. Now, if we scroll down, what you see here is exactly what your members will see. To configure the online statements, you're going to click on your name and you're going to switch to Club Central. That will open our dashboard for us, and to go into the statement configurations, we're going to look for our statements tile. The typical process that takes place prior to a statement update is a transaction takes place at the club. The end of the day is typically processed that evening or the following morning. Then the statement sync runs to display the most up-to-date information from your account system. Note that statements update every 6 hours, 6 a.m., 12 p.m., 6 p.m., and 12 a.m. on your time zone. So for example, if you complete your end-of-day process before 6 p.m., those charges and payments will now show up on the member statements for 6. However, if you do the end-of-day process after 6 p.m., those charges and payments will now appear on the member statements for midnight. So we typically suggest letting your members to know to check back in about 24 hours after they've made a payment or a purchase. In the event that transactions are not being updated, it is a good sign that your accounting system is not communicating with the website. If this does happen, please contact our support team and they will be able to assist you. Within the Statements module, if you're unsure of what a setting does, simply hover your mouse over the question mark and it will provide you with the breakdown. And also note, if you do come in here and make any changes, just make sure you click that Save button in order to save your changes. First, let's take a look at the rollover settings. The rollover setting indicates the number of days it takes for an unbilled statement to be marked as a billed statement on the online member statements. Therefore, it is simply just a visual display. Even if you haven't processed the end of the month in your AR system, all transactions will still update regardless if the statement has been marked as unbilled or billed. The purpose of the rollover settings is that automatic rollover for you, so that as long as you do your end of the month process in your accounting system, say for example, on the 3rd day of the month, my December statement will now be marked as a billed statement. Now you do have the option of doing a manual rollover. And to do that, we're just going to uncheck Automated Statement Rollover. And if you use this option, please note that you do have to come in here every month and make sure you finalize each statement. But to make it a little bit more simple, we do like to go with our Automated Rollover. That way, as long as you're completing your end of the month in your AR system, the website will automatically mark member statements from unbilled to billed. Below that, we have our general settings. The first few include whether or not you want the information to be shown on a member statement. We can include to show the unbilled statements, which is our current statement. We can display minimums if you do have minimums at the club. And we can also choose to display extra statement data, which is actually the aging information. When it comes to the dependents viewing a primary member statements, we have 2 options. The first option is to allow dependents to view statements. This means that a member will be able to grant statement access to their dependents via the roster. Your other option is to allow all dependents to view statements by default, meaning that dependents will automatically have the access to view the primary member statements. However, this access can still be taken away via the roster. Note that the first time the primary member accesses their statements, it will take about 15 to 20 minutes for their statement data to populate on the website. And the first time they click on statements, they will get a message just asking them to check back in a few hours. Moving forward, their statement data will always be available for them. It is also important to note, a dependent will not be able to view a primary member's statements until the primary member has accessed statements first. Once they have accessed their statements, the dependents will now be able to view the member statements, depending on how you set the configurations within your statements. If you like, if you do have it set up in your AR system, you can choose to group your statements by resource or business area. If you leave this option unchecked, it will put all the statement data into one table. Then you have your accounting email. The email address you enter here will appear in the To field whenever a member clicks Contact Accounting. Then you're able to go ahead and set the landing page. The landing page is the first page that a member will see when they click on their statements. Your option includes the account summary, which lists all the information, the current statement, or our last billed statement. Then lastly, in this area, we can choose if we want our minimum plan name to display or the description. And we typically recommend the description, as the plan name is usually used for internal reference and might not be as clear to your members as the description. On the right-hand side of the screen, we have the payment integration. If you do have a payment provider, this is where you would place that URL and set our type to Pay Now, which will then enable that Pay Now button within the member statements. Additional info settings allows us to display the credit book and or loyalty balances if you are utilizing them at the club. And just below that, we also have levy settings. Also, if you'd like to display the levy settings and display inactive levy purses if you are currently utilizing the levy settings within your backend system. Next, we have customization. This area allows you to customize the different headers and labels that appear within the online statements. The statement headers appear within the table in a member statement. Some headings that you might like to change include your CHIT, where members might refer to it as a reference number, ticket number, receipt, or maybe CHIT, and first service charge based on your tax laws, if you either go by service charge, gratuity, or maybe you don't utilize that column at all. Scrolling down here, we have our statement tab labels, which we typically leave the same. However, you're more than welcome to adjust if you like, as well as your summary headers seen below that. So you have unbilled versus billed statement. You can always put in current statement or past statements, for example. Then scrolling up to the top right, we have our print-friendly statement logo, which will be put here for you, and this will appear anytime a member clicks that print button. And then if you like, you are able to adjust the headers for your minimums. Then lastly, we have our messages. The club statement message is the message that appears on the printed statements. If you do want this message to appear on your online statements, just make sure you enable this option. Then below that, you have the web-only statement message. You can add a message in the content area below here, and this will only show on the online statements. For more information on the member view of a member statement, please watch the video entitled Online Responsive Statements Member View.